That's perfect. And I want to thank everybody for joining us on the call this evening. And I think this is a good topic. Well, I don't think it's a good topic. I know it's a good topic because it's extremely important. And what we chose was, when given the right fuel, guess what? Our bodies can heal themselves. And we know that to be true. We know that to be true, and well, what's the right fuel, right? I mean, we're going to have Becky talk a little bit about the gut and things like that. But I'm going to tell you what, it's how you use this up here too, how you think, okay? Because I've watched studies that were done and people get into these they're anxious all the time. They get these thoughts in their minds, and once you get into this fight or flight mode, guess what? It starts bringing up your all these different things inside your body that shouldn't be doing that, because you're not getting chased by a bear or a tiger or anything like that. And you start getting addicted to that feeling. So you get up, you start thinking bad things, so on and so forth. And gets actually shown that not only can the body put itself in that type of condition, guess what? Think the right things, and then your body does the right things as well. And wow, your body heals itself. And it's been proven. It's just been proven. And when I went down to the place I went to for 2 weeks, they work really, really hard on getting your mindset properly so your body can heal. But you know what? We're talking about everything starting inside the gut. And I'm gonna turn this over to Dr. Becky, because that is extremely important. Because how is your body going to get the right fuel if you're not putting the right things into your body to do the right functions in order for you to get the maximum benefit out of the things that you put inside yourself? And then I'll talk a little bit about what we put on top of ourselves. And I'm going to tell you what, I am going to call somebody out tonight that's on this call, and you're going to hear this testimony. And I think it's going to blow your mind. If you think, I'm going to tell you what, it will wake you up. It'll wake you up. And by Tuesday, I would imagine that you'd have, 10, 15 people on this thing, everybody, Dr. Becky will assist me on Tuesday night's call as well, but, we'll come up with something. But you got to hear this, and I was driving home from work today to do this, and I called somebody up. I said, "How was your day? Checking in on you," so on and so forth. And you're going to hear this tonight. So, but let's talk about getting the right fuel. How do we get the right fuel? How do we, here's a real good one. Here's a real good example, right? And, you know what? I would almost call Tisha Hicks out, because she's the one that I think told me that you know what? You think of your body like a car, right? And if you're sitting on the side of the road and you're broken down and your fluids aren't right and everything else, and there you sit in 115 degrees all day long, waiting for tow trucks to come, and finding out your car is a complete mess because you let it get that way. And all you would have to do is service it and service it and service it, and it'll treat you right and get you everywhere you want to go. That's what we live in. Why aren't you doing that? If you wouldn't allow your car to if you're going to service your car, how come you're not servicing yourself? Right? So, Dr. Becky, let's talk about that. The right fuel.
Thank you, Michael. Always an honor. I'm glad you brought up mindset, because I like to tell stories in regards to when I practiced medicine. And that was a huge thing in my practice, is if the patient's mindset wasn't clear and they believed a prognosis they were given and they bought into that, then everything just fell apart even faster because their mindset wasn't right. Their spirituality may not have been right. Of course, their diet wasn't right. I mean, what you put in to your gut has a direct effect on everything. We talk about the microbiome, but we need to support that gut. So we support the immune system and the endocrine system and your brain and your skin and your liver, and prevent inflammation, prevent leaky gut. So this is all about fuel. Whatever you're putting inside your intestines, that's the fuel for life, but the mindset's really important. And I like to share stories again about when that mindset can have a direct effect on you. And when I was in medical practice, when I practiced gastroenterology, as most of you know, I took care of the esophagus and the stomach, the small intestine, large intestine, rectal, anal areas, pancreas, liver, biliary system. And because of the toxic world we live in, and because of all the inflammation that our bodies are set up for, because of everything I've talked about in previous calls, that when chronic inflammation starts to set in my world, I saw a lot of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And these are systemic inflammatory conditions. These are conditions that not just affect the gut, but they can affect your eyesight, your gallbladder, your kidneys, your joints, your skin, pretty much everything that you would think a systemic inflammatory condition could do to you. And I had one lady early on in practice, again, when I talk to healthcare professionals, whatever you've done, if you are a healthcare professional, you will remember certain patients because they will stick with you forever because there was something so unique or sometimes so devastating. Whatever sticks in your mind, that's just always going to be there. So this was a lady who was in her 40s, and she had features of both ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, because sometimes there was this really fine line of, what is this? Is this truly an ulcerative colitis? Is this truly Crohn's? And she did have features of both. And when I was in med school, and then when I was in my practice, you're taught that whenever somebody has inflammatory bowel disease and they have symptoms, then you start with drugs and more drugs and more drugs. So first is like a layer of anti-inflammatories for the gut. Then there's a layer of steroids. Then there's a layer of antibiotics. Then there's a layer of something called immunosuppressives, and a layer of, like, basically same thing, chemo. And so you're laying all these drugs on these patients. And if they're not eating right and their mindset's not right, and they have all these side effects due to these very, very strong pharmaceuticals, then they can start to literally fall apart. And this particular lady started to have more and more rectal bleeding, more and more pain, more issues with fever spiking, and just the side effects from the drugs, all the steroid side effects, etc. So, of course, I recommend that I take a look at her colon, do a colonoscopy, and bring her in, sedate her. And I take a look at her large intestine, her colon, and it was gangrenous. Okay, if you don't know what that means, it means it was dead. So sometimes people that are diabetic can have gangrenous limbs because there's no blood flow. And she basically had a black colon, and it smelled. It was malodorous because it was dying. So I would rarely do this, but I called up to the surgical suite and I'm like, I need, so-and-so doctor down here who's an expert at doing colon resections, intestinal resections for not only people with inflammatory bowel disease, but cancer and all kinds of other very dangerous things. So I have Dr. Terry come down to the GI lab. He takes one look at this lady's colon and he's like, it has to come out now. Like, we don't really have much time. And I said, yeah, but I need her to wake up because I can't, she doesn't have family here. She needs to be fully awake to make the decision if she wants surgery or not. And just long story short, she woke up and she basically said to me, I don't own this. I don't own this disease. I don't own what you're telling me. I don't own the fact that you want to take my colon out. I know what I've been doing bad with my health. I know what I'm eating. It's not good. I know my mindset is not right. I'm going to sign out against medical advice and I'll see you later. And I truly thought she would pass. I didn't think she would make it much longer. And like 8 months later, she shows up to my office and she's there and she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I'm like, Elizabeth, what happened? And she's like, I went, got my spirituality together. I got my mindset together. I got on minerals and vitamins and I got on the right nutrients. And I just did that as a routine because I wasn't ready to die. And I said, I have to take a look at your colon to see what's going on. And it was pink and it was healthy. And it was, to me, a miracle. But to me, when you have a health challenge, if any of you are on this Zoom call and you're faced with multiple challenges or maybe one, medical challenge, you need to really think about a multifactorial approach. Michael has created products that absolutely need to be part of your daily repertoire. It has to be part of your routine because you're going to take the best of the best in terms of organic, and what he's done to jump through hoops to make the best products. They're highly absorbable, that help to keep your body alkaline, that supports your microbiome and everything else that goes along with supporting that microbiome and getting rid of biofilm. That's that encasement of bad, non-beneficial bacteria. So that's part of the pie. But if you're a spiritual person and that helps, then get that in order. And if you are somebody that needs a more positive mindset, then do that. And maybe you need to practice meditation. Maybe you need to do a little bit of exercise every day. Drink more water. Don't drink so much soda. Don't have so much coffee. Don't drink so much alcohol. Don't smoke cigarettes. So there's like this whole multifactorial approach. But at the center of this is using Michael's products. I'm really strong on this because if you're getting up in the morning and you're taking his shake, which is pH balanced, and it's giving you the vitamins and the minerals, it's giving you the vegetable protein. It doesn't have anything bad in it. It has got great fiber, great prebiotics. I mean, everything about it, including the enzymes, are there to give you that start in the morning. And if you add the fruits and the greens, and you add the digestive enzymes and the probiotics, and you add the phytocleanse into this daily routine, wow, you've got a lot of great things going on. Now get the other part of it, like Michael said, get that mindset right. And I'll add this, but I'm sure a lot of people have heard this kind of talk before, especially with healthcare providers. I would have people that were diagnosed with cancer. I saw them every day in my practice. And it wasn't just colon cancer, it was all kinds of cancers. And if they walked into my office and said, my oncologist or my primary doctor says, I need to get my affairs in order. I've got a month, I got 6 months, I got a year, I got 2 years. And if they believed it, if they truly believed in that prognosis, you can believe in the diagnosis, don't believe in this prognosis, because we don't know our expiration date, and neither do doctors. Michael, you and I talk about this. So if you believed in that and you just started to spiral downhill because you believed that you were going to be leaving planet Earth soon, then yeah, you were. But the ones that said, I don't own it, or I'm going to do something about it, or this is just temporary, okay, let's get it together. What do I need to do for that multifactorial approach? The other thing I want to mention on tonight's call is when we talk about the right fuel for our bodies, okay, we know that Michael's Organic Products is that fuel, right? The thing that I want you to understand is that we are always going through cellular death and cellular life within our body. Now, there's a myth that we turn over our entire body in 7 years. The bottom line is you can't really predict when the cellular rejuvenation is happening because red cells have a lifespan of so many days, and platelets, which are clotting factors, have a lifespan of so many days, and white cells have so many days, and liver cells, and lung cells, and kidney cells, and cardiac cells, and skin cells. Everything's dying at some point and rejuvenating at some point. So it's always happening every minute of every day. So if you're eating garbage and you're not taking care of your health and you're not doing a routine, and these cells are turning over, when these new cells are born, they're unhealthy cells because you're not giving them any nutrients. So if you're giving them all these organic, wonderful nutrients in the form of the products I just mentioned, then these cells get healthier and they live longer and they communicate better. Because when you look at the liver, for example, the major internal detoxifying organ of your body, all these little hepatocytes that are liver cells, they have to communicate with each other. And if they're unhealthy, they're not communicating. And if they're toxic, they're going to draw fat into the liver. We talked about non-alcoholic steatohepatitis last week. It's fatty liver. It's not from alcohol ingestion. It's just there's risk factors involved, but it's fat and toxins sitting together in your liver, which clogs your liver, so it can't function properly, and it clogs your thyroid, so your metabolism goes way down. And then you don't have the energy, and you don't have the focus and the clarity, and then the microbiome is, adding to the problem. So then your brain chemistry is really off. So it's this cascade of effects that if you're not giving the right fuel to your cells in your entire body, then you are a setup for disease and illness. But it is one piece of the pie. So I just wanted to emphasize that. And I also wanted to emphasize another point. When we talk about an alkaline environment for our bodies and our cells, that is key because inflammation, dysplasia, malignancy, bad things love an acidic environment. If you're doing Michael's products and you're watching what you eat and all the common sense things that I know all of you know about, you are going to create an alkaline environment, and you can test for it. There's test strips that you can get from Essanté where you can just rip off a little piece of the test strip and you can test your saliva in the morning first thing, or you could test your first stream of urine, because you want to monitor what your pH is and how you're going to create an alkaline environment, because alkaline environment is going to keep you healthy. The acidic environment is not going to keep you healthy. So not only do we have products that have no toxins, they have no impurities, they are the purest of the pure, but we have products that create a pH environment. We have products that help your microbiome and in turn help all of our other systems function in conjunction with each other, because it's all about communication within our entire body. And when you're doing right by that, you've got, you know, a lot of things covered for the positive reason of extending quality of life and longevity and all the other good things that goes with that. So remember, alkaline environment, remember cellular rejuvenation happens of every minute of every day. Put those good nutrients in. And I'll mention the greens because not only does that support alkalinity, but Michael's greens, if you haven't taken a scoop of the greens and looked at it and to see how it stands on end, it's alive, it's ionic. And ionic is the best absorption you can get, especially with those greens that help the alkaline environment, help detoxification, help our microbiome. We could survive on Michael's products. If we just lost the ability to have anything but Michael's products in terms of his shakes, his greens, his reds, his enzymes, his phytocleanse, his probiotics, and his B tabs, we could live a very long, long, long life just doing those. That's it. So what you have in your hands is really exciting and really important that you embrace it, but you definitely want to share this and have other people really understand your passion for this and why you're embracing a lifestyle that's multifactorial, but starts with really good nutrients that Michael provides for you. So I'm not going to take up too much time tonight, Michael. I just wanted to share that with the group, and I'll have you take it from here. And I'm excited to hear testimonials because I'm all about when I was in practice and then when I got into nutrition and network marketing through the nutrition space, the testimonials always gave me goosebumps. They always made me feel so proud that I was part of a movement that people were getting healthy and potentially getting healthy without needing pharmaceuticals. So thank you as always, and I'll turn it back over to you, Michael.
Yes, and remember, guys, I'm going to put the second part of, or a couple more pieces of this pie together, is that when you do start in this particular protocol and way of life, and why do I call it a way of life? Because I got a misdiagnosis, and I ended up at one of the leading, research centers in the world, cancer research centers in the world. And you know what? I saw them save lives. And guess what? I saw them save lives with once I got down there, my entire nutritional protocol. I didn't know they were doing that for 12 years, but they are. And the thing is starting and understanding cleansing. That's the main thing. You got to start by getting all the gunk out. You got to clean yourself. And when Dr. Becky was talking about biofilm, that's really, really important. You don't get disease by having a good alkaline body. You get disease by having a body that's completely out of sync and a compromised immune system. And the only reason you're going to get a compromised immune system is because your gut isn't right. Okay. And I don't care whether it's the worst thing in the world or if you got diabetes or whatever the case might be. Diabetes can't live in an alkaline environment. Okay. I know so many people that we have helped, get, from type 2 diabetes to no medications at all. Why? Because again, we're creating alkalinity, and it's really, really important. And I'm stressing that. And I want to put this piece in there as well. Understanding how your body works in a very simple way. Let's understand the immune system. The immune system is a bunch of fighters. It's a bunch of soldiers. And your lymphatic system is the fort where some of your soldiers live, or where they regenerate and they get more energy from that fort. And then when something happens, as minor as a little cut on your finger, or a burn, you burnt it on the stove or something like that, you know what happens? Your soldiers, your fighters start going up there as fast as possible to save you, because you know what? If you didn't have skin, you'd die in a day. If you didn't have an immune system, you would die in less than 24 hours. So these fighters are rushing around and doing what they're supposed to be doing, fighting and killing things that are toxic all throughout your body all the time. That's their only function. That's what they do. Sometimes they don't get sometimes there's something there they can't kill. So you know what they do? They grab it and they drag it back to the fort, and the fort kills it before it gets into the bloodstream. That's your lymphatic system. That's just as simple and easy how the body works. Now, here comes another very important part. So you're now going to take a shower, or you're going to use skincare, or you're going to use some type of product on top of you. Your skin is the largest breathing organ that you have. And anything that you put on top of yourself is going to get into your bloodstream in 26 seconds and into your major organs in 5 to 8 minutes. That's it. So now you jump into the shower, you stretch and yawn in the morning, and you start using a shampoo. And what did you do when you're under the water? You opened up your pores. So that's just even letting it in faster. And now, if you're not using plants, and I mean everything in that thing is plants. I mean, you can't find phenoxyethanol and PEGs and PPGs and EDTA and polysorbates and all these toxic things that end up in one part of your organ or some place in your body that's going to just congregate more until you have a health issue. And you know what? It came from the stuff that you're using on top of yourself. That's it. 46% of it of all diseases is because of that. So guess what happens is now you're under the shower and you're lathering up. Guess what happens? Your fighters go, oh my gosh, look at what's going on. Look at what he's doing. So the fighters start running up there and they're fighting and trying to keep it out of your body. That's what they're trying to do. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And then what happens? Well, you rinse it off. Now comes the conditioner. You do it again. More fighters. They go crazy. They go running up there because they need help now. And then we're going to start with skincare and everything else that we're using, putting on top of ourselves, toners, everything. And what you're wearing on your body right now. Are you washing your stuff in plants? I hope so. Because you know what? I don't care if you're living in Alaska in the coldest time of the year, you're still perspiring and your body has to breathe and it breathes under here. And if you're using, stuff in your laundry that's in your garments and it's going in through here, that's the worst thing you possibly can do. So I'm talking, you have to think about everything because guess what? Now comes the fighters again. And then all of a sudden, we're going to start getting bad doctor's reports. Why? Because the fighters are so fighting everything, all this toxicity you're trying to put inside of you. It forgot about that little spot it was working on. Maybe that was on your lung, maybe on one of your organs. It was working there. It was doing what it was supposed to be doing, but you confused it and you put your body into a state of chaotic, rhythmic sequences all throughout the day, every night, constantly, boom, we have an issue. So when we put this company together, it was started with one thing. It went into alkalizing. It went into the organic way of living and doing everything from a place of plants. Because if all you got to do is, if you got good spirituality, get into that Bible. And in Genesis, in the first chapter, 29 to 30, it says, I gave you plants for food. What does that tell you? Plants are food, plants are energy, plants are life force, plants are frequencies, plants are vibration, plants are biomimetic. You can get amino acids and minerals and everything you need to live your life on plants. And plants are bioidentical, meaning that blood and chlorophyll have the same chemical makeup. Why is that? There is a reason, right? Well, we found out what the reason was during World War I and World War II, because they ran out of blood supply. They had to do something, and they were giving the soldiers, coconut water and chlorophyll transfusions, and they were getting healthier and faster and quicker and so on and so forth. And the one thing we forgot is that plants were man's first medicine, okay? Nobody was running around like, oh, hey, you know what? we got to go with the other 11 disciples and we got to walk to Jerusalem today. Well, we better start 3 days early because Luke, the physician, he's got to be dragging around the X-ray machine and the CT scanner and the MRI machine. He's got that tied to his belt. That never happened. They used plants. And you know what? You can come to Arizona and you can go to where it's called Montezuma's Well on the way up to Sedona. And this is a place where you can park and go through this entire historic, you walk it yourself and you get to this well and it tells you to look off into the distance and you see that mountain over there. That was another tribe of Indians, actual Indians, American Indians. And they would come here to the stream and trade other things for water. And that's what they did. But as you walk through the park, you see these little signs and it says, this is whatever it is. It could say sage, it could say lavender, it could say whatever it is. And it told you all the medicinal purposes. And you walk through this thing and you go, wow, this is what they used this was their medicine. This is what healed them. If it wasn't healing them, we wouldn't be here today because we know that to be true, right? So it's not only what you're putting inside yourself, it's what you're putting on top of yourself and how you're thinking. And you know what? Put all these really good ingredients together and you're going to have a cake full of life. That's what you're going to have. A great, great, great life. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to bring a couple of people and I just call them out. Hopefully they're at their computer. I'm going to know if they're paying attention. So, and I want to hear from them and I call them out all differently. And you know what? Somebody that's sticking out in my mind right now that's on our Zoom today is Sandy Lilly. And I'm going to ask her to speak. And you don't have to put on your camera. You can just talk. But Sandy, tell a little bit about yourself because she's got a very interesting background. And wow, she put everybody in tears. I mean, literal tears at one of our conventions because she asked to speak. We didn't, she just says, can I have the mic? And we gave her the mic. And next thing you know, man, I was hugging JJ for goodness sakes. I was weeping practically. So Sandy, are you here? Tell about your experience with the things that you've tried in Essanté Organics.
Hello, Michael, and I'm really glad to be here. We've known each other for what, 11 years now?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, short story. When I came to see you in Phoenix, I had been using Asante for I don't think it had even been a year, but it started out that I couldn't walk. I was in chronic pain. I didn't want anybody touching me. Went to church, didn't want to be hugged because it hurt. And I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and one thing and another. Went to my primary care one day and asked him a question and he blew me off, literally. And I left, and on the drive home, the longer it took to get home, the madder I got. I got home and the prescriptions that were on the counter, I dropped them in the trash. And my husband looks at me and says, Sam, what are you going to do? You need that. I said, I'm going back to what I know and what I love, and that's natural medicine. So I started digging and looking to see what I could do to help myself. And Essanté Organics presented itself in my search. So I started with Michael's protocol, the reds, the greens, protein. And I don't think I'd been using them for a year, Mike, when I came to Phoenix. But I was able to fly across country from West Virginia to Phoenix. It was like a 5-hour flight. Excuse me. And walk through the airports, come to the convention, and I could walk. I could hug people. It didn't hurt anymore. Now, I was not well when I was in Phoenix, but I was so close. And alkalizing was the key. Plain and simple.
1000%. Inflammation is pain.
Mhm.
Pain is inflammation. And what we have to do is we have to figure out, okay, all right, well, let's not put a patch on it. Let's not put a Band-Aid on it. Let's look for the root cause. And guess what? We get rid of the inflammation and the pain follows. Get rid of the pain, the inflammation follows. That's what alkalizing is all about. And now you're going to hear something to me. Oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps over this thing because on my ride home, this was, I had to pull over practically because I didn't want to cause an accident after I heard this one. So I'm going to ask Robert Blackman to talk and tell him about his experience today. And whew, this one's a good one, guys. This is a good reason why we tape these Zooms and put them up. So Robert, you here?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hey,
Can you hear me all right?
you're beautiful.
Out here in the back porch at the sun setting, it's beautiful. So I've got my other phone on with my light. So it's like I'm doing scary movies with my kids, Most of you don't know me well enough to know that 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 B-cell lymphoma. And I believe that came from the radiation that I took for 4 weeks because I was healthy as an ox before that to get rid of a little spinal cyst on my T12L1, which is just way down there. And I turned sick, gave me 5 days to live. Went to change hospitals to University of Oklahoma Hospital. The doctor there came up with his cocktail of toxins and gave them to me. And the whole time I was at peace. I believe when Mike and Becky were talking about mindset, I never thought I was going to die. Never. I never got sick. I never threw up. A little girl came in about 21 years old that was a nutritionist. And she says, and just came to me and said, Mr. Blackman, do you want to live? And I said, yes, I do. And she goes, then you got to be on double protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to get through all this, because you're going to need it to heal. And we got to get your bone marrow going. So you get your white blood cells. So they give you a booster shot for that sits there and pokes you and during the time period. So long story short, 2.5 months later, I survived 2 near-death experiences. With sepsis in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital about 9 months total, off and on, but I've been cancer-free for almost 5 years now. So today was my annual checkup with my oncologist, and it was just he and I in the room, and he was going over all my blood markers, going over my CAT scan, my PET scan. Everything looked good. He says, well, what are you doing? We went over where I was last year and all my markers, how they were bad. They were low. And he goes, everything's gone up. You're no longer anemic. This. And I said, well, I've gone on a total alkaline kind of purge from my body. Have you ever heard that? And he looked away from his computer and he goes, yes. He goes, in Western medicine, they won't endorse it, but Eastern medicine will. And he's from India. And he says, so where I'm from, they endorse that. And he goes, here was the statement that just blew me out of my chair. And he goes, and if I get talking about getting you alkaline, or on my other patients, he goes, I'd get fired here at this university hospital. I said, why is that? He goes, because I'm not following the protocol. And the protocol is exactly what you got. Chemotherapy, the big shot in the stomach with the big, long needle that took 10 minutes to get, through, and all the visits and everything. He goes, you can't break protocol. You've got to walk in line or I could get fired. He goes, I trust you. So that's why I'm telling you the truth. Because I said, can cancer live in an alkaline body? And he goes, if I was sitting in India, I would tell you, no, it cannot. But I'm not in India. I'm in Oklahoma. And I'm going to tell you that there's no studies that have proven that yet here in Western medicine. And that's what I have to tell you. So I was blown away today that I'm on a regimen that's going to make sure that I never have cancer again, that it's never going to come back. And the triggers I had today were a very emotional day, going back to the same hospital, the same room, the same doctor, the same nurses I'd seen for 5 years, especially when they diagnosed me that I had 5 days to live. And now I have something besides just waiting waiting on the report. Today I was like waiting on my numbers. Are they going to be good enough? Is the cancer creeping back in? And the numbers all went up, and it's because for the last 5 weeks I've changed my regimen, where I'm not perfect yet on what I'm eating and consuming for acidity, but I'm taking my nutrients 3 times a day, or as prescribed, and I'm feeling better and I'm feeling different. But my cancer doctor today told me, yes, if you have an alkaline body, it's been proven in the Eastern medicine that cancer cannot live there. So he says, I'm not telling you that. I'm just telling you what Eastern medicine does. So for me, I walked out of there going, I'm never going to walk in this office again afraid like I was today. I was afraid when I went in there. How can you not be? That because I almost died twice. And today I walked out of there and I said, thank you, Lord, not only for saving me, but thank you for letting me find Essanté Organics, because now I have a regimen that I know that will keep me from having cancer. And it's not just blood tests and CAT scans. It's real, true nutrition. It's a real, true self-medicine that I need to be taking, that I've never taken, in watching what I eat, watching what I put in my body and put on it. And so today was just the most uplifting day I've had in years. So I'm very, very excited about everything.
Guys, really, do you think our creator, our Lord, didn't know what he was doing when he was making our bodies? We're born alkaline, but we become acidic by behavior. And here's Robert telling this doctor, but when Robert told me, he said, when he said it while he was on the computer, the guy just like froze and stopped to like, wait, what did you just say? And then told him what he told him. And then Robert said something else. And he's just like looked away again and was like, you've got to be, he's got it going on. He knows exactly what, if he wasn't here, he would be teaching somebody. And where I went to wasn't here. And that's exactly what they do down there. Okay. It's all about ozone and oxygen and alkalizing. And I'll say it again, alkalizing. You don't need to go out there and go, well, you know what? I got to find something for nitric oxide. No, you don't. Use our reds. And at night, take, you know what's better than nitric oxide to open up the blood vessels? You got 63,000 miles of blood vessels and arteries and capillaries in your body, everybody. So take enzymes at night. It works better than that because it'll open it up to 500 to 700% more. And it allows what? More oxygen in. And guess what? Disease cannot live in a highly oxygenated environment, no matter what disease that is, and that's it. That's an explanation point and a mic drop at that moment, because that's it. And that's what we do here at Essanté Organics. We educate people. We're not here to go sell and convince and sell. We educate you, and then we provide solutions. That's it. That's all we do. Education, solutions. You got to go out there and make decisions. So after watching these Zooms twice a week, a few things happen. You get it right away and you're like, I can't be without this stuff. Or number two, you're going to think about it for about a few days and it's going to set in because it can't not. Or you start going out there and living vicariously and doing crazy things and eating crazy stuff and doing all these things. And then you know what happens to me? This is a true story. It didn't happen once. It happened a lot of times. Mike, known about your company since 2012. I was even using some of your stuff. Now I got this going on. Oh my gosh. I hope it's not too late. I'm going to really start taking it. And you know what? If I would have been doing this since then, maybe this wouldn't even have happened. And you know what? What can I do but, okay, I'm not going to lie. I agree with you. You're right. You're probably right. Because you know what? I've watched people do this for 20, 30, 35 years from an alkalizing standpoint, and I watched them save their lives. That's what I saw. And I've seen that. And you know what? On Tuesday night, you hear about somebody who did that, because I'll bring them on as well. And they saved their life by doing these types of things. So, you know, I think the world needs to know this even exists. And that's the best thing for you guys, because you got a business now. You have a business where the world doesn't even know. But once the world does, this thing becomes so absolutely huge. And like Danny says, timing is everything. You're in front of a way of life before it becomes a way of life. And it's becoming more apparent every single solitary day for three reasons. One, you start to you get to that point where you start saying, I got to change things because I'm not feeling right and I want to feel good, great, awesome. Or you keep watching a sports event or something like that, and you can't get through a baseball game or a golf tournament without seeing 15 different commercials. And if you used any one of those products, get in on the lawsuit, and you're like, man, I'd be in on 5 lawsuits right around now. And you're even afraid to go even think about what if, because the thing is that money is absolutely no good. I'll be the first guy to tell you, because you know what? I'd spend $50,000 to go through a protocol I didn't need because I didn't have what they told me that was going on. Here in the United States, they made a mistake. Down there, the minute I walked in, they were like, no, They looked at me and said, not there. And I'm like, I got this piece of paper. I got to do what this says. And I'm not leaving until this gets done. And I did unnecessary things. And you know what? But that's okay. Because you know what? It was like, you know what? God doesn't create trouble in your life. That's not his job to do that. But he will allow you to go through certain things. You're going to have struggles. You're going to go through certain things. Why? To strengthen your faith and know what's happening and make a better decision. And that happened to me. And it did. And you know what happened is I had to then make a decision. I could have made any decision in the world. And I didn't know that hospital was doing what they were doing. And I made that decision because I know 3 people that went down there and saved their lives without chemo, without radiation, without drugs. Okay. So I said, that's where I got to go. So I made a phone call. And how much perfectly could this have been? Is that he wasn't even in the country. The guy I wanted to see, who I spoke to, he wasn't here. He was at the Olympics because his daughter is on Team USA in martial arts. But he found out that Mike was showing up and he says, I'm on the next flight out. Who does that? He put me over the top of his family, his daughter. You know what? His daughter's 19 and she's got a backstory to herself as well. But the thing is I get it, you know, and he did it and I would have done it too. And he got there and he had me there for 2 days. And you know what I learned the minute I walked in? Oh, empty out the products you got. You ain't bringing that in here. What do you got? Because you ain't bringing anything in. You're using this. And they give you a bag. And it's like, wait, I don't need that. What do you mean you don't need that? Because I make it. I'm the guy who formulates it. I got it with me. So I brought my own things in. And there I am, sitting on a chair. True story. Having a nurse help me take a shower after a surgery with my own shower gel out of their bag, right? Come on now. And, you know, lathering up my hair. You know, I almost wanted to bring her home. You know, I was pretty I was getting used to that. I was like, that's pretty nice. I'm pretty lazy. I just sit here and let somebody just do it all. You know, it's like I'm going through my own car wash, right? The mic wash. And so it was fascinating. And then having letters flying under the, you know what? It's funny that I'm sitting here because I'll tell you what, I can actually show this to you. Look, here it is. Look, what does that say? July 24th with a little cross on it. Dear Michael. And this letter is a woman and her companion, because you have to bring somebody with you, in another room. And then another letter shows up. 2 of them. All right. Then another letter. What are these? What are these? People in those rooms wanting her, they heard But the guy who designed the protocol is here now, and they wanted to sit down and learn what to do. And you know what? Something crazy, crazy. Yes, last night. Out of a database of 37,000 people, out of which we only got 1,000 distributors. So you tell me if that's a great opportunity. Oh my goodness. It's unbelievable. But I happened to somehow see a name, and it was this lady's name who wrote this letter. And I looked her up because I said I would gift her a free membership. I set it up when I was down there in July. This is July 16th, so probably 4 or 5 days after that. And why did something in my psyche tell me to go into my database, and out of all those thousands of people, I looked her up because her name showed up somewhere on a spreadsheet because I was looking at some things in a database. I just looked her name up. I thought, oh yeah, I know, remember her? And yesterday she placed her order. Her second order, a huge order, everything in the nutrition line. And you know what? This is exactly what they said. You can skip one thing that we have in our nutritional line, and we only got 16 things, and 15 things every single solitary day. You should be taking that. That's the protocol when you leave the hospital. Take this stuff for the rest of your life. Only 15 things. Don't buy anything more because you don't need it. Don't buy anything less because you need that. And that's what he said. And guess what? And here's something that'll stick. Hopefully it sticks with you. I must say it every single time I do it. So you guys will be saying it someday. And that is this. At the end of the day, tonight, and because I had gone through what I've gone through, and I believe in my heart, without even asking Robert, because of what he's gone through, after hearing this is what happens. You do this, you don't do this at the end of the night. You're doing it every time you're reaching for something. Is you say, anything that you do inside yourself or on top of yourself, all right? No matter how small or how large it is that you do it, are you participating in your life, or are you participating in your death? It's that simple. You get to make the choice. You have to be responsible for your own health. And this is why we are thankful. We are grateful that you join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is why we do these things, because you don't know who's on there. You might have brought somebody on here right now. And you know what? You might have just saved somebody's life. And that's the truth. You might have just saved somebody's life. Get out there. Be a megaphone. Tell everybody. Why? Because you might have saved somebody's life. It's how important this stuff is. These are things your body used to do when you were a kid, but it doesn't do that anymore. But you have to realize that you got to manually do these things like you did back then, so you can have that beautiful life without pain and going through things and all these different things. It has to manually be done. And it's simple to do. You just have to do it. You got to take the greens for the blood. You have to take the reds for all the reasons and the peptides and the healing tissue processes and the, antioxidants, because you don't have the glutathione you had back in those days. And taking a shot of glutathione or taking any product with it after the age of 50, throw your money at me. I'll take it, because you know what? You're wasting it. I'll take it. Put it in my pocket. You got to do these things. It's important. For what? For life. That's the truth. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And now you got a business. Oh my goodness. You got the largest USDA certified organic superstore in the world, and everything from A to Z, one place to shop where you can transfer all your spending dollars into your own purchases and buy them from yourself and get cash back for doing it. That's absolutely huge. And get rewarded for inviting people. Do you know that there's 2 people on here right now, Tisha Hicks and Kat? They both won trips from last month because of what they did. It'll be put on the internet tomorrow because now I said it. So now I created work for myself. So they won the trips. It was simple. It was simple. But you know what? You know what's more important than the trip? Probably what they just did for somebody's life. True story, you know? And I don't care if you're a little baby all the way up to a senior citizen. You know what? We're all children of the Most High, right? So we've all been there, and we got to take care of ourselves. And here it is, guys. So you know what? Tuesday, pack this up. We do it. That's why we do these things. This is it. You know what? I've watched Dr. Becky take a company from 19 million to $1 billion, and in 5 years' time, and she's serious. That's why she's here twice a day. I've seen, Robert Blackman in a product company. Let's talk about that. A product company making $15 million in 22 years. His biggest year was $1.7 million. You don't think that's going to be a repeat performance? I can tell you that's going to happen. Okay. So I've seen it. I've been there, and I can name everybody. And you know what? It doesn't matter how much you've made, and or how much you haven't made. The thing is, you're in the right place right now, and you can make a literal fortune. But imagine the people's lives you help and you save in the process of doing this, and the education that you're getting them. It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And that's it. And guess what? Go look in this space of mobile-based businesses. Nobody's doing this. Nobody. This is so unique because we're doing it differently, the way it should have been done forever anyways. And that's starting with giving you a good education so you simply understand this and not make it, overwhelming, because that's what the medical system wants to do. And I've known, guess what? I used to say, all my doctor friends. Guess what? I still got all my doctor friends. It's just that they quit the medical practice in the last 4 months for the same reason why we heard tonight. So that's it. That's what you got. Tuesday night's going to be a big night with Dr. Becky. We'll come up with a topic. I'm sure we will. We'll make one. We'll come up with one along the way, because there's plenty to talk about. And bring your people, and a lot of them, because you know what? You got something that's absolutely priceless. And with that being said, I just want to say, God bless you. God bless your families, and God bless your businesses. And if you need our help, reach out to us. Reach out to us. Everybody on this call is a leader. If I would tell you where you're going to be in the next 4 to 5 years because you're here tonight, you just wouldn't even believe it, because it would be, it's monstrous. It's unbelievable. And it is. It happened to me, and it happened to a lot of people. And that's going to happen to you now. Why? Right place, right time, in front of a way of life before it becomes a way of life. And in 8 years, 7, 8 years from now, we won't have this opportunity anymore, because this is the way people are going to live. It's already happening. So be a part of that. Spread the good word everywhere. We're a global company. So you all be blessed. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. You, your families, your businesses. God bless you all. We'll see you again on another call. Thank you all. Dr. Becky, all the people that spoke, and everybody here that's here tonight. Thank you all for attending and being here. And we'll see you again on another broadcast. Peace out.